I first met these folk when they reached out because of our call for presentations at All Things in Moderation, and they sent me emails all individually saying, here's who I am, here's my experiences, I'd love to share my story and share my perspectives on this. And I was blown away with each and every one of them. And I said, you're all amazing. We have to have a big, giant conversation together. And these folk really are doing work. So each of them, Nathan, Sonia, Jatani, Koffi, and Fasica as well, all worked for a third-party moderation company who was engaged to moderate for Meta, in Facebook in particular. As you may or may not know, many of the mega platforms engage all sorts of different specialist companies of various kinds to do that moderation work. And those folks are often offshore from the United States or from where those platforms are based. In this case, they were based in across Kenya in a variety of destinations. And unfortunately, their experiences were not so great. If you've been around for a little while now, you may have heard some of the stories that have been covered by journalistic outlets like CNN, The Verge, Vice, and many others, The Guardian as well, The Conversation, have covered some of the circumstances that these moderators faced in terms of really significant challenges, exposure to incredibly graphic content, a lack of institutional support, right down to, certainly a lack of access to counselling and things like that, but also just a lack of, sufficient breaks in many cases. Some really unconscionable situations. And these brave folk were subject to a round of layoffs as part of a retaliation against their efforts to gather and unionize and build collective power together. And they have been involved in a legal case against Sama and Meta as a part of that journey. So they are very bravely really keen to share this story so that we can understand firsthand what goes on in these sort of situations, but they can also talk about their moderation experiences. These folks are experienced moderators who have an experience that many of us attending this conference don't have with moderation. So I think it's incredibly important to hear their story and to hear straight from them in terms of what they think can be improved about this work, right? We're not saying that this sort of thing should be eliminated entirely, and certainly there's a lot of gestures from the mega platforms that talk about, well, let's move everything to AI, then we don't need to deal with human beings and things like that. But it's not that simple, as we know. So all of these folk have inspired me so much that we're going to be contributing a share of the proceeds of this conference to the efforts to build a Kenyan Content Moderators Union, led by Nathan, who's in the conversation here. And today we want to unpack this a little bit. So can I just have you both introduce yourselves? Sonia, Matete. Let's start with you. Can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you did as a moderator?
My name's Sonia. I'm a South African. I worked in Kenya I was a content moderator based in Kenya for just over 2 years, almost 3 years. I was moderating content for Facebook. And yeah, I was moderating content for Facebook, basically just dealing with a lot of graphic content, sexual activity, exploitation, suicide. So I was moderating that. In charge of the SSA Sub-Saharan Africa region. And yeah, I worked there from up until there was a redundancy with ambiguous reasons that was put upon us. So currently that's my standing, that's me.
I should have also mentioned, you reminded me, I think it's a given, and we did mention it on the official program, but just as a reminder, we will be touching on sensitive and disturbing subject matter. We will be gentle and responsible with that detail, but please do note that we may touch on that throughout this conversation because it's a really important part of this story. Nathan, let's head over to you. Can you tell us who you are and your experiences?
Thank you so much, Ness. My name is Nathan Nkunzi, and I'm a next content moderator for Meta, who's been working on at Sama. I started this work back 2021 when I was called up to come and work on Kirundi Kinyarwanda content. Of course, it was a work that was also including, as my sister Sonia said, the Sub-Saharan Africa English. So myself, I worked on Kirundi, Kinyarwanda, English, Swahili as part of the languages that are most spoken in the region, and of course, as well as French. Yeah, so I'm again one of the founders of the Content Moderators Union in Kenya. This is an idea that we had before, but again, it was initiated on 1st of May last year, 2023, when we all came together and we said enough is enough. We need to unionize. And I'm glad that the rest of my team, had enough trust in me, and they put me, before and said, Nathan can represent us. And I've been doing this wonderful job for the last 1 year and 1 month.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nathan. And yeah, look, massive shout out to you for being, one of the leaders of that movement and for helping, mobilize your people in reaction to the things that you're experiencing. We are huge supporters. All right, Jatani, over to you. Tell us your story. Tell us a bit about you, where you're located, who you were moderating for, and how you came to be in that position.
My name's Jatani Hussein. I am a Kenyan Ethiopian. I used to work for Sama. I used to moderate content for the largest ethnic community in Ethiopia, that is the Oromo community. I joined Sama in 2001 after COVID had ravaged everything and everything was closed up. So I joined Sama in 2021. And I've worked with these beautiful people for all that time. And we've had quite a rough time together, but we're all here now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jatani. I want to come back to you because I do want to talk about some of the conflicts and crises that are specific to the Ethiopian region and community. Koffi, everyone's here now. Hi. So good to see you. Thank you for joining. You look very dapper. Can you do the same? Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, how you came to work as a moderator?
Okay, all right. Hi everyone. My name is Koffi Iranyibutse. I'm from Burundi. I joined somewhere in 2021 as a content moderator, and since then I've been working with these good people, intelligent people. We've been helping out each other for the past the timing I've been with them since 2021 to 2023 March. So that's when I've been working with them, and I'd say I learned a lot from them, especially when it comes to leadership and teamwork. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I bet you have. And look, I think it's something that's moderators all around the world, whoever they moderate for in whatever situation, we've talked about it a lot at the conference, when you have peers, when you have colleagues, and that collegiality and that camaraderie is not just really important for your mental health and that peer support, but actually really helps you do your job better because you can bounce ideas off one another and support one another when you're given agency to, which is sort of, is a theme of this conversation. Thank you, Koffi. That's awesome. All right, so I want to just ask you before we get into some detail about your experiences more specifically. I really wanted to just ask you, because you're all you've been doing this for a few years now. Obviously, you're taking you're not right now for the reasons that we'll talk about, but before you did this work, because you've all come from different backgrounds and have done other professions and have skills in all sorts of areas, what did you know about content moderation? Had you encountered it? Did you experience it very much? What were your expectations going into this role, going into this work? Why don't we start with you, Koffi?
When I was called to work as a content moderator, at first I was told that I'll be the hero of the society. I'll be helping the society. I'll be saving the society. Now, before that, I was doing internship, leadership internship somewhere here in Kenya, and I was so excited because I thought this is the part where I get to practice what I've been learning. But again, when I joined, stuff were different. When I got to the field now, things were different, and plus now when we were doing the training, we were not being showed what exactly we were supposed to be doing, because now I guess the trainers were kind of protecting themselves. Sorry to say, they are kind of protecting themselves because of some of the graphics we were seeing were pixelated. There was no
Right.
videos. It was only pictures, just to give us an idea, if I may call it that way. But
Yeah. So it was kind of like a sanitized version of the actual
yeah,
combat you might be moderating. Yeah, that's interesting.
yes. So, but again, when we started doing the live queue now, that's when the reality kicked in now. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I think that's really interesting to your that idea of like being, the hero, right? And I've talked to a number of you now, and I think, several of you have described to me, I think quite beautifully and quite accurately, that you believe that moderation is a noble profession, that it is heroic actually in many ways. But I think it's really interesting that you had that notion going in, but that the reality was that maybe, you weren't empowered to be the hero, perhaps.
Yeah.
Jatani, can you reflect on that too? Can you talk a little bit about what you knew about content moderation, if anything, what your expectations were as you stepped into the role, and how that differed when you actually started to go through training and actually started to do the job?
Yeah, actually, the call to join Summer as a content moderator came at a time when COVID had shut everything down. Whatever we were doing before had been shut down. So it was a welcome move. Whatever you'll find, you'll do whatever you find. I didn't know about content moderation at first until my first day when I reported for training. I reported for training, and I was told there are some policies here you have to be taught. So you will have, when you start working, these are the policies you're going to enforce. So they started teaching us about the policies, 2-3 policies a day, and the policies, they differ, they are different. When we reached to the now graphic policies, now they were like, yeah, these things there, but these things are going to be sensitive, and they don't show you like exactly the real ones that you're going to see. They'll show you like, yeah, you're going to look at some injuries, some what. So at training, it was very simple, but it hit you when you come to the floor now to start production. But with time, this work grows on you, because you'll start realizing that you are really doing something there by removing those contents. So you're protecting the younger generation, your kids, your younger siblings, your parents, and everyone out there. So content moderation, although I didn't know about it at first, but it came to grow on me, and I believe I took it as a noble job, and it is still a noble job, and I enjoy doing it, although I will talk about the effects that come with it later. Thank you.
Yeah, very much. Thank you. That's great. I think, again, that's a really interesting perspective about that distinction in terms of the sanitizing of the training. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to put a whole bunch of graphic content in front of someone. However, it's a really important question about the obligation to have an honest conversation with someone you're employing about the work that they'll be doing and the potential consequences of that work. Nathan, what about you? What was your exposure to kind of moderation as a practice? How did you end up getting involved with Summer? And again, what was that moment like when you transitioned from, not working for them, for suddenly getting that training, knowing you were working for Facebook? What was that journey like?
Thank you so much, Nis. As everyone has already said, myself, it came at a time where, COVID-19 had really hit. And I can remember the previous company that I was working for, which was a real estate company, could no longer be able to pay us. So I had to think twice, and I just quickly went back to Burundi, where I was born, and I was just doing my small businesses here and there to feed my family. Just to come across, an advert on the internet about the job, and I quickly applied. I can remember it was on 14th of February 2021. I applied and I forgot because I saw something related to my language, Kirundi content moderation. I said, this is something which is looking like very specific to my language. Let me just give it a try. And later on, I got an email from the management from Sama saying that I've been shortlisted. Now I'm supposed to come to Kenya to sit for interviews. And I rushed. I bought a ticket. I came quickly, and I was able to do a very, very huge number of interviews. And luckily, I was shortlisted and successfully given the job. To be honest, in the first place, what came in my mind was when I saw the word content moderation. I first of all thought of content creation, because that was the word that is most used in our community. I thought probably we are going to be working on content. We take pictures and videos there, and probably we upload them to their platforms. But just to come to realize that it was something totally different. And as my good friend Jatani said, it is something that always pushed us to work on, when the spirit of, the heroic spirit of feeling that I'm protecting my community, I'm protecting my parents, my children, out there who would have seen these, who would have gone through these, but I'm taking it on behalf of them. So every time having that in mind always pushed us to do that job. But it is a job that really worked on our mental health, that ruined and damaged our mental health. And I'm sorry to say, it has to be done. Because if we don't have content moderation today, I think even Meta will just close the very following day. And you can guess our community will be totally ruined, unless probably we look for other ways, probably people can connect. But as long as Facebook, Instagram and all these other social medias are still working, content moderation is still very, very important to make sure that, we block anything that is very horrible and toxic to our community. So that is how I came across that job, and I was now able to become a content moderator who is very, very, proud to have been, and I always be.
I love it. And you should be proud of the work that you do. I think, this is definitely an event where we are all proud moderators and massive advocates of the heroic work of this practice. Sonia,
Absolutely.
can you share your story in that similar way? And then I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about what the realities of this role were. But yeah, how did you kind of get the opportunity, and what was that, how was that expectation versus the reality of the training and actually starting the work? What was that like? Was it very different? Was it what you expected?
It was nothing of what I expected. It was extremely different. So, and remember, most of us, Koffi, Nathan, but most of us actually, we were hired, recruited at a point of, it was during the COVID period. So between 2020, 21, that was when COVID was still very much, especially in Africa, people were dying. So people were dying, people were losing jobs. So for you to actually find employment during that time, it was like, wow,
Amazing.
at least I can be able to have means and income. So just like the other guys, I was also recruited during the time of COVID. And what initially seemed like a blessing in disguise, few months into the job, I realized that actually, no, there's a catch in this. And unfortunately, the catch was, the effects of the catch are very detrimental. So yes, I came across a post on the internet on one of the job search engines. But funny enough, the post was not advertised as content moderation. For me, I applied for this and it was stated admin assistant or admin clerk, something admin related, I remember. I applied and did the first interview, the second interview. It was only on the third interview where I was told that actually, and by the way, this admin thing was, because I'm a South African, I'm in South Africa. It was advertised to be in the city that I was, which is Johannesburg. Only to realize on the third interview, the recruiter, I don't know, now he's realizing that, okay, things are getting a bit too far. We need to, he's like, oh, by the way, this position is in Kenya, is in Nairobi, Kenya.
Gosh.
Okay, it's a bit, I'm like, okay, but fine. You know, I'm at that time, I've got kids, I'm at a point of, you know, poverty is a very ugly thing. So you find yourself making rash decisions. So I'm like, okay, it's a bit uncomfortable, but yeah, what am I to do? Fine, get the job, I get to Kenya, everything happens, the interview is successful, they send my air ticket, I get to Kenya. When I get to Kenya, as if I'm still digesting the fact that the job is in Kenya, I'm still trying to make peace with how because now everything, I think everyone can attest to the fact that everything was a rush process. I'm sure within 2 weeks, all interviews were done, already flown out of your country. Like it was a chap kind of thing. Like you barely even have time to should I think of, you know, within a week or 2 weeks max, they've uprooted you from your country. So when I get here, fine, I'm going to be doing admin in a foreign country. I don't even know, because all this time it was me and Summer. So I'm thinking, I get here, I realize I'm going to not be doing admin. Now there's another bomb being dropped. It's content moderation. Okay, I'm here already, so might as well, let's continue. So now, as we continue, I'm going to be a content moderator. I'm already here, by the way. A few days into training, I don't even know content moderation. I don't even know what content moderators do. But then the recruiters and the HR and the trainers, they're like, no, rest assured, we're going to train you. It's not too complex, and don't worry, we'll be with you every step of the way. Fine. We get to training, and then I realized, okay, this is not what I signed up for. Like now this is becoming too different. And now the training was a bit light. It was a bit light. And then I'm like, okay, this is not what I signed up for, but maybe I can make it work because I'm here already. After the 2-3 weeks training, I go on production live, now doing live tickets. Now that was another hit because now the live tickets were just something, there was just extreme. So yeah, just like the other guys, I also found myself in a position, in a situation where I could say I didn't sign up for. I didn't fully consent to, I would say. I consented to me getting a job, yes, but for me, on my part, the job came in false pretense. It came as a job being advertised in Johannesburg, a job being advertised as an admin assistant, a job. I only got to know that I'm going to be moderating content for Facebook when I got to Kenya. Because even when I got here, I didn't know. It was only during the time of training, because the rest of the guys would attest. They do not reveal the client, who the client is, which is a bit, you know, dodgy-ish. Like, why are we hiding the client? And then as soon as they tell you who the client is, they've got a document next to you to say, sign this. This is an NDA. Now we've told you who the client is. Now we've told you the kind of work you're going to do. Sign this. This is a non-disclosure agreement. And if at any point you violate it, there'll be legal implications against you. You are from a poverty-stricken background. You can't even imagine taking a legal battle against such a big, like, you don't even want to research on how far can I take this battle, because you can't even take it anyway. So yeah, that's me, that's my story. And unfortunately, yes, I've been doing, like your opening statement, the job was very bad. It really, it was really bad, but it was because of the community that we had built for each other, because we were all going through the same thing. So we could relate to each other's issues and problems. So because we had each other, I would say we made life a bit bearable for each other. We made life bearable. So even when you're on the production floor and someone is just they see a ticket and they just randomly scream out of the jump out of the chair or scream or collapse. It was a safe space amongst ourselves because we understood. So we had that, we lived like a community. We bear the yoke, like we actually made it easy for each other. It's not like the job was bearable. The job was no. The reason we stayed for 2 years plus, it's only because we had each other. Yeah, that is me.
Yeah, and that's incredible, Sonia. Thank you so much for sharing that journey. It's a lot, right? And I know that so much of what you've just said and what all of you have already shared, it should be shocking to people. It should be shocking because it is shocking, and it's not acceptable, right? The fact that that transparency was withheld, the fact you've uprooted your lives. I think I'm safe in saying that you built and forged that community together, not because it was easy, and not because your client or your agency made it easy for you to form that community, but really in spite of that community, and you needed to do that to survive together and support one another and get through as you did. And I'm very glad you did, and I'm so glad you're all here now having this conversation. But it shouldn't be on you to do that, right? Can you maybe, Jatani, would you mind just building on what Sonia was just sharing about the reality of the work when you got in the chair and you started to moderate and you started to be reviewing content, in the form of tickets, could you talk us through a little bit about what that was like, some of the types of content that you saw, and start to, I suppose, reflect on some of the effects that had on you?
The tickets were in different forms. There were tickets in text form, image form, video form, and some are just audio. Mostly the tickets I received from our market, because I was doing the SSA. SSA means any English content. Sub-Saharan Africa, from Sub-Saharan Africa, any English content, and the Oromo content now. With time, things intensified, the violence and fighting and the war intensified in Ethiopia. And the management was overwhelmed by the number of tickets that were coming in from Ethiopia. And they took my team from the Sub-Saharan African, the English contents, and now strictly we did Oromo content. The tickets from the Oromo content, mostly we didn't have an issue with the solicitation, with human trafficking and whatever, the other violations of the policy. Mostly we dealt with the graphic contents, violence and incitement policies, and a lot of hate speech on individuals and to communities, from community to community. Most tickets were very graphic in nature. Beheadings, some were shootings, burning. People were burnt to very charred bodies all over. The first content that I saw was of guys just being lined up and being shot. And it becomes very personal when you hear these guys being shot, crying out loud in your mother tongue. And some are small children, or pregnant women, elderly people. It affects you. Sometimes you just want to switch off the machine and try to figure out, what have I just seen? That is now when the person sitting next to you now becomes a resource. Like, come see this. And maybe he or she has been there longer than you, and she'll take you across it. And it is like this. You see things like this now. He or she will show you around the loops and tell you, this is how it is, and it's not going to get any better. Since this is the Oromo market now, we're talking about the Oromia is a region in Ethiopia. And this region has forever been mad with violence and war. because there are militias there, the rebels fighting the government all through the years we've known since before even I was born, before my parents were born. These conflicts has been going on, and these conflicts are one of the reasons that my parents left Ethiopia to come to Kenya, and they settled here. That is why now I can say I'm a Kenyan Ethiopian, because we've got roots there, but we live in Kenya. So the violence has always been there, but now the violence became extreme when now the government and the Tigray region now started revolting against the government. Now we're not only doing content from, we are not only viewing content from the Oromo market, from the Oromo region. Now it becomes from the whole of Ethiopia. And the kind of atrocities committed there, there's something that will stick with you. They'll give you nightmares. And we've had people, and the resources that the company was providing were inadequate, because you'll ask to see a counselor, and a counselor will just sit there and ask you, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? You can't be asking me every day, how am I feeling? How am I feeling? I need professionals. They were far from professionals. Someone will just sit there and make jokes about things that are very relevant to what you've seen and what you're feeling. And sometimes they become so insensitive to your issues because they don't understand. They don't understand what you've seen. And when you tell them the graphic contents that you've seen, they themselves, they are more shocked than you now. Now, if the counselor is panicking more than you, how could he or she help you? No, she can't. And there is no other professional help that you can get beyond there. You take yourself to hospital for mental, and you find that the insurance they give you, it doesn't cover that. So you just rely on your colleagues, and you can't also rely on your family members because you've signed an NDA, like Sonia said. You can't tell people what you're doing. So you just have to tell the person next to you, and this ticket is really, and now it becomes normal now. Since you don't have help outside, it becomes normal. Once you normalize it, the effects now you came to feel the effects now when we are now out of the job because of reasons that we'll be discussing later. Now the effects come flooding in when you don't have access to those contents anymore. You don't have access to those guys who are sitting next to you anymore. And now it is hitting hard when you're out of the job. But it's been hard. The company did not provide anything helpful. But thanks to our colleagues, we went through it. And we are heroes, like Nathan has said.
You are heroes. Thank you, Jatani. It's so much, and I think it's so, and again, it's really confronting, and it should be really confronting for people that might not have known about this or might just be learning a little bit about it. The kind of content that you have to deal with, or had to deal with in that work. We've been sitting here talking at this event, about kind of mediating conflict and trolls and haters and all sorts of different online harms. There's a huge spectrum of those, obviously, and they often do have a relationship. They kind of connect. Something that starts as online trolling or harassment can lead to offline violence, right? We know this. So, but most people on the planet have no experience, no inkling of the kinds of things that you have all experienced, and so it's why it's incredibly important for you to share this. And I thank you for your bravery in sharing it. Nathan, do you want to add anything? I suppose just building on Jatani's revelations and his sharing of what that actual experience was like. If you've got anything else additional to kind of enrich our picture of what that was like, and then maybe also talking about, I suppose, in more detail, what the things that started to happen that sort of that ultimately led to to your efforts to organize and the ultimate consequences of that, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Ness. Thank you so much, Jatani, for such wonderful insights. As my friend Jatani has said, actually, we've got a lot of common denominators in terms of our history, because I and Koffi, we also come from countries that have experienced a lot of civil war, and these took a lot of, more of our family members, our beloved, and we were still on the process of healing. But again, as Sonia said, poverty is a very bad thing. After we have now come across this job, we had to do it and make sure that we can feed our families. So this is something that also, I would say, really hit my brain by working on this particular job. When I'm dealing with content like children being molested, women being raped, people being beheaded. These always took me back to that history, remembering, some of my uncles, some of my aunties, my cousins, my brothers and sisters being killed the very same way. And for sure, it is something that was very traumatic. And you always wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, I'm still going there on the very same floor, opening the very same computer, seeing the very same content. But again, something comes up again, you remember you've got responsibilities, you've got bills to pay, and you have no other work to do. You push yourself. To be honest, most of us did this job, not because we want to, but because you say, as I continue looking for other things to do, let me just push myself for another more month. You go this month, you get paid, at least you pay a few of your bills, you feel relieved, you have nothing to do, you say, let me just again try another month. And that is how we found ourselves doing it for a year, and another year. And we had even friends who had worked on this very particular job for more than 4 years. You can guess, it was a job that always pushes you to have, to be there for the job. It actually took us, because the nature of job itself and the environment in which we are doing this job, you get to job, you've got a locker, you put your all belongings, you can't even communicate to the people outside. I remember when I was doing that job, I still had some few clients that I was connecting and doing, do my businesses. But I remember during that time, it took me about 2 to 3 months just to lose every other client, because people are trying to call me, trying to SMS me, WhatsApping me, and all in vain, because my phone is locked in the locker. I cannot access it. And you can guess, even when we go for tea break, it is 1 hour, a whole day that has been divided into tea breaks, lunchtime breaks, and bio breaks, and any other time that you need some break, you have to use your 60 minutes. And we are talking of more than 200 people on the floor for a single shift. So even using the biometrics to go out from the floor, to go and queue, to have the tea, the 200 people, it will take you more than 20 minutes. You come to realize you don't even have enough time to take the tea and go back to the floor. During lunch, the same happens. So this is to say, even going back to the locker area and have your phone and be able to connect to your people, it's totally impossible. Even during lunch, it's the same. By the time you go back home, you are totally tired and exhausted. I remember many times that I was going home, I don't even want to connect with my family. I just want to lock myself in the room because I'm totally tired. I don't want to hear, noises. I just want to be there as me and me alone. That is some of the effects of this very job. It disconnects you from the community, the human connection, and every other thing that you are doing, you disconnect. And another thing to say, it was very, very horrible, to see children being molested. This is something that has really hit my brain, and I don't know how it will really leave my mind. Seeing mothers being killed. I remember handling a ticket when a mother was being raped, and later on the very same guys, 3 guys, just took a machete and beheaded her. I wondered, am I living the very same planet, seeing people doing such horrible things to other human beings? It was very horribleness, to say the truth. And it's something that really, you wake up and you remember, all these would have been seen by my mother, you would have been seen by my father, my children, my other brothers and sisters, but I've been there now to protect. Hence, I love the name of this session, that we are soldiers of the internet, moderating on the front line, of Meta. When Mark Zuckerberg is just, having his own time, we are there making sure that every other thing that is coming to harm his, his platform, to harm his business, is blocked, and he continues, profiting every single day, while we are also not being treated as the same way. So just to add on what my brother had already said, it is a job that really, left us with a lot of wounds. And talking of hate speech, being lived in a country where ethnic, issues were the major root of our civil war, always took me back to remember how people were just insulting each other, violence and incitement, causing offline, violences and fights, always made me remember some of the things that we had in the past. So those are just a few of the things that we had to go through to see, all people in our community safe, while we are being exposed to all these kind of, horrible content-ness.
Yeah. Oh, look, Nathan, it's remarkable, right? And I think you paint a really stark but raw, honest picture there of, the owner of, or the primary billionaire behind this particular platform, but the same could be said of so many other platforms as well. Going about their lives, profiting in various ways, Mark Zuckerberg has a family himself, goes home at night, and you and your community of humans are the ones that are ensuring that this type of content doesn't reach his family or anybody else's, right? And there's this massive cognitive dissonance that happens, I think, where moderation and those who practice it are very easy to, particularly when you are structurally oppressed in all the ways that you described, and that's what it is, it's structural oppression. It's the only way to describe it. You're deliberately kept out of sight. You're deliberately restricted from your people. You're deliberately restricted from support networks. You're restricted from speaking out and sharing your story, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I appreciate that there are commercial and other concerns, but this goes beyond that. Sonia, did you want to add something?
Actually, the sad thing about all of this is that profit is prioritized over human lives, because now immediately when you tamper with somebody's mental health, might as well say you've literally tampered with my life, because there is a way that I will not function the way I'm supposed to, probably. So, but unfortunately, this is just conversations we would have amongst ourselves. Our main employer does not even care to, not even, like, all of this we're doing for, like, was it $2 an hour? $2 an hour in Africa, by the way, in Africa. And then on the other side of the world, in the West, the US and all that, they're doing it for $18 an hour. So you can even see it's not even half of, and on the other side of the world, they're not getting as much graphic, because they were in a court case, I think couple of years ago. So in the US, they don't even deal with content that is graphic. All that is being thrown down to Africa. So yeah, it's a bit of it's really dirty. It's not nice, but yeah, the sad thing about all of this is, in all of this, as much as we found ourselves in this thing and we were somewhat soldiering on and doing it, but the least that I think all of us we're asking for is, can you at least maybe just give us proper mental health, like even our medical insurance, or maybe at least give us services that will cater for our mental health. Because now if you keep doing this over and over, and like I think Jatani said it, that you feel the effects after you leave the job. More so because it's more like right now it's even worse than when you were in the job, because it's more like withdrawal symptoms, like, you know, when someone is on drugs and now they stopped. It's more like withdrawal. It's right now it's more severe. It's worse than when we were in the job, because now your mind is idling. You're doing nothing. So the only thing, you've got this withdrawal symptoms. The only thing that your mind is, it's now playing, it's having flashbacks of all those things.
Yeah, no, it's a really important point to add. Thank you, Sonia. I think, you know, you're very right. Danielle in the chat, we've got some great questions, which I want to share with you all in a minute as well. But Danielle made the very important point that you know, it's certainly not just Meta that does this, but they are certainly guilty of it. You know, these giant systems that are drawing on, you know, white supremacist and colonial histories and structures that are, you know, I think it's, you know, it's especially sort of sickening, you know, that here in Australia, someone who works as a professional moderator might earn six figures. They might earn over 100,000 Australian dollars. You know, and I think they deserve it. But I also think all of you deserve it, right? I think this is work that is highly specialized and incredibly important, and they have access to all of the protections that you're talking about, even at a pretty sophisticated level in many cases. And we want to do better, but they've got all of that. You know, over here in the, you know, in the West and in the global North, and that so much of this content is, as you say, pushed over to your teams and pushed over to Africa is really repulsive. Like, you know, it's a symptom of, you know, problems that have been around a really long time, but it's reprehensible, and it's something we all need to acknowledge, even if we are especially if we are the beneficiaries of those systems. So I sit here as someone with massive privilege who's been doing this work and has not faced anything like you've faced at all, ever, right? I've had a few serious incidences with some PTSD, but nothing even remotely like what you've experienced at all in a million years. And I've been well compensated to do so. We have to remind ourselves of this, you know, and we have to do better. And it's only by you sharing your experiences that we get to learn about this. And it shouldn't be your job to do this, to share these things either, but I'm so grateful that you do. I want to try to turn the conversation to lessons we can learn, you know, and talk a little bit about, you know, the lawsuit as well. And I know you are able to speak about that. Perhaps, you know, Jatani, maybe just starting with you, and then we'll share around again. You know, if you can talk about, you know, how this, you know, a little bit about this lawsuit and what it's for and what it entails, and also to have all of you start thinking about, if you were in control, if you were running this platform, if you were running moderation for the planet Earth, what would we be doing better? You know, obviously the bare minimum, you know, fixing all these things that you're describing, but what lessons can we be learning from this? Like, because you've seen, you know, the worst of humanity, the worst of what these experiences can be like. You will have a pretty clear idea about how to make it better. So if I could ask you to start, Jatani, firstly talking about the lawsuit, and then maybe starting to reflect on, you know, what you're trying to advocate for, and then we'll go back around and share with everyone.
Okay. It was January of 2023. The company came up with some information that your positions in this company are redundant. You have all been declared redundant, and we are going to follow redundancy laws of Kenya to lay all of you off. And we were like, well, we didn't understand what redundancy was and what are the redundancy laws. So we went along with it, and we were told your last day here will be February, the end of February. We waited. They had several meetings, and they even calculated the package that they were going to give us. And the package they were going to give us is like, it's even less than a salary, 1 month salary. So what you're getting for working there for 2 years. You don't have any long-term health insurance that is going to take care of your mental health. That is when now our saviors, we can say, the lawyers and the organization that is really supporting us, and we are thankful to them. And we must give them a shout out whenever we share our stories. Yeah, the Foxglove from UK, they really came through for us. They said, guys, what they are doing to you is not appropriate. This should not happen. Kenyan laws do not dictate this. They brought in lawyers, our very able lawyer team, the team of lawyers that we have. So we took the matter to court, to the Kenyan courts. And we had several prayers to the courts. First, it was to declare the redundancy unlawful. And the court gave us a reprieve. We had orders, preliminary orders, that they should continue paying our salary. They should keep us on the job. They should renew our medical insurances. Says some our friends from the expatriates, their visas should be renewed and everything. And since that preliminary order, the first order, Meta and Sama, we have been in tussle with them. As we speak right now, they have been appealing the preliminary orders, and whatever the court grants us, they appeal. I think they are trying to exhaust us and try to make us give up. But we are still resilient. We want to see this through. And you've asked if I was in charge of content moderation in the world, what I would change. First, increase the number of content moderators. I would increase the number of content moderators because as much as content moderators are there on these platforms, like we can remember a certain individual recently bought a social media platform, changed the name, and the first thing he did, he removed content moderation, and people were up in arms because you won't have advertisers advertising on your platform next to a pornographic image or video. I won't have my advertisement next to a graphic image also. So the importance of content moderation is also, it brings value also to the companies, to these big tech companies. Hire more content moderators because it is a noble job, but hire them, give them the job, and give them their dignity. Give them dignity, the dignity that they deserve. They deserve to be compensated, like we can come up with across the board figure, like a content moderator, whether in Africa, whether in the West, whether in the East, should be paid this amount. Like I can come up with the benefits that all content moderators across the board should receive. You equalize them. That is giving them dignity also, because you won't have, like Sonia saying, some working for $1.8 an hour, some working for $18 an hour. And like you have said, some are getting 6 figures a year. You can't have such a discrepancy. That brings now indignity. So dignify the profession, make it a profession that is recognizable around the world. These are noble professions like firefighting, the police, the military, in every aspect. So bring more work for the content moderators and give them dignity.
I think you make a really interesting analogy about sort of other emergency workers as well. It's moderators are civil infrastructure. They are civic infrastructure for the internet. Regardless of whether they work for a platform or a company or whether a volunteer or professional, ultimately, I think they have that in common. And I think it's incredibly important. Thank you. Someone made the point that you kind of are already in charge of moderation for the world. The work that you all do is moderating for the planet. And that's a really good point as well. Thank you, Jatani. Koffi, do you want to, I know you've been in and out, can you speak to that? Can you share a little bit about, the lessons that you've learned from your experiences and how they are informed, especially, the work with the lawsuit and your organizing efforts with everyone. What does that How is that changing your thinking about moderation? What would you like to see improve about this?
All right, thank you so much. I guess first of all is that the content moderation should be recognized worldwide and should be an open. Because I remember, well, when we were still at the office, we were told that we were not allowed to mention where our offices were, and we were not allowed to say anything in regards to what we do, and also we were not allowed to mention to anyone our position. I mean, as a content moderator. So, and every time we would ask the management. So now, if my family or if my friend asks me what I do, what will I say? Then they would not tell us what to say exactly. So now I came up with an idea that every time someone asks me what I do, I'll say that I'm an IT agent or I'm a secret service. So yeah, and then I was like, man, if this job, that's how it is, so then maybe I guess it's high time to allow us also content moderation to be recognized worldwide, and everyone to take it as a job, as a good job and an important job, especially when you know that you are serving the community and you're also helping the community to enjoy the platform. And then now for the management, the other challenge I would say is that the management did not have an idea of what we were doing. So this would be a contribution. So now if someone wants to manage the content moderators, should at least have an idea of what these content moderators are doing, should have an idea, an understanding when this agent comes to them, telling them that they want something, they are in need of something that they need like a time off from the screen, they would understand all of the work that these people are doing. Even if you stand up to stage, the management would be on your case. So they would think that you are playing with them. You are not working. You are not performing. And on top of that, we were being told to perform because now our station here in Kenya was the second best performer worldwide. So imagine you're handling the pressure of the content, you're handling the pressure of the policies. You also at the same time you're also being told to perform. Regardless of what you are going through. I remember there's a time when Kenya was going through the elections. So now a company could not even afford to pay us transport. We were not allowed to imagine situation is happening around the country, and then you are coming to the office to work to make sure that the platform is okay and safe for the people to use. But again, when you go to the management explaining what you are going through, what you want, for the safety of the job that you are doing, no one could understand. Now, these were some of the reasons when we were declared redundant. So now we decided to go to court. They're like, hey guys, these people they are exploiting us. They are not helping us. They are not even recognizing that we exist. And then if I were in position to manage the content moderation, to be honest, I would make it the best work in the world at the moment. Because now with the progress of AI, artificial intelligence, so because I remember well that we used to be told that we are helping the system to pick or to make the right decision when the tickets are being flagged. So now, at this time, with the situation, with the advancement of AI, I think the moderators should be recognized, should be treated well, should also be considered for the next step. Because again, we are not doing this for just today. We are doing it for the better and the future, for the future generation. Because the young people are coming. And then the platform will be here, so they'll be able to use this. So that if they don't have anyone to control the platform, to make it safe for our children or for our generation, who else is gonna do it? I understand well that the machine don't have emotions. The machines don't understand what's the feeling of the person. But again, on our side as human beings, as moderators, we should be treated highly to help also the future, or also to help and build the future, and also for the safety of the generation. Yeah, and now the problem comes in now that the owner of these platforms, they don't understand. They don't hear what we are trying to explain to them. I don't know if it's because they know the toll of the work, or I don't know, they're being ignorant. But I think it's high time to tell them, to push them to understand that this job should be recognized. This job should be treated highly, because it's helping their platform to make it a better safety and a better platform. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Koffi. Really beautifully explained. I think it'd be very easy for all of you, having had the experiences you have, to be, ready to go and like ditch the internet forever and be like, that's it, no more social media, these platforms can burn to the ground, I don't want anything to do with anything. The fact that you're all still, invested and passionate about the importance of moderation as a practice, its role as an honorable, noble work, that it should be respected, that it should be elevated and supported in the appropriate way for future generations, for our civic health, I think, is credit to each and every one of you. You're incredible, and should teach us a lot. Really should teach us a lot. I just want to bring in Fasica to the conversation. Fasica, I know you arrived a little late due to some technical issues, which are not your fault at all. But you have shared, thank you, in the chat, your recent report that you did about African content moderators and about some of the experiences of this community. Do you want to just briefly, we're a little bit over time, but I think it's a really important conversation. So I'll start to wrap us up. But if you could start that wrap up for us by helping us kind of summarize through your reporting, what are some of these issues? What are some of the big takeaways from, this whole experience and, the legal case and all of these folks?
Okay, thank you so much, Venessa. So yeah, I tried to answer some of the questions raised on the Q&A section. There are 2 more questions that I didn't answer, but I'm sure my colleagues will try to answer them. But to summarize what we've been discussing so far, I think what we're all demanding right now is for a policy framework that protects data workers in general and content moderators. So this big tech companies was profiting from our labor without being responsible for the many psychological and mental issues that they put us through. They haven't even tried to help us by providing a real psychologist on site, or by any means. We could just say they don't care, and we've been exploited. As all of us know, being exploited, or what exploitation means, is that laboring someone for profit, or using them without giving them what they deserve. I tried to cover it on my research report. So when SAMA first initiated the main, I think their aim was to give work with dignity for Africans, but we never got dignity. We never got recognition for our works. All we got from the job was mental health issues, eating disorder, sleeping disorder. I cannot mention all of the disorders that we're facing every day. Some of us are still recovering from them, and some of us have ended taking medications in order to cope up with so many issues that we been exposed to the job. So I cannot stress this enough, but thank you, Venessa, for at least acknowledging our job. Yes, of course, we were the soldiers, and we consider ourselves as heroes. We're still fighting with these companies, so I would like everyone to join the fight. We're just asking for a proper mental health care, and also, you know, they have to pay for our therapy. That's all we need, because they have to at least bring us back to our sane mind. That's the least that they can do. So yeah, and if you want to read the report, yeah, you'll find a very detailed stories of content moderators or African content moderators as a whole. I've interviewed about 15 people for this report. It's very detailed, but you have to be cautious because it has a very disturbing stories. So reader's discretion is advised. And thank you so much.
Oh, Fasica, thank you. Look, I just want to reach out through the screen and give each and every one of you a massive hug. You know, you don't really need a hug. You need support, you need dignity, you need proper compensation, you need all of the things you talked about. My hug is, you know, none of those things, but I would give you a massive one if I could. Just to finish up, I think it'd be really nice if we could just hear from you, Nathan, just a little bit about what the Kenyan Content Moderators Union is, and you know what your hope is with that, you know. And we will obviously, in wrapping up all of this and sharing all of your stories and takeaways with, but not just attendees, but others who couldn't make the conference as well, it will certainly connect to all of those resources for everyone, including your report, Fasica. But would you mind sharing that, Nathan, a little bit about your work in the union?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nace, and everyone for sharing your stories. We have got 10 things, 10 very major points that we are pushing as a union. Why are we unionizing? It is simply because unionizing means coming together to solidify our bargaining powers. And as you heard my colleagues speaking, it's very easy, you know, to disperse us when we work as an individual. But when we come together, you know, we solidify our strengths, we solidify our powers, and now we can come out and bargain and be able now to bring down the boss and have a talk. That is the very first reason that we decided to unionize. Number two, we are pushing as a union to have, you know, to improve the working conditions of every other content moderator.
Fasica, do you want to pick up where he left off? Because I know you're across and aware of the goals of the union. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think.
Well,
Great, Koffi, you go
try.
ahead.
Go ahead.
If he's back, he can proceed. But I'll try. Basically, it's a place where we try to come together as content moderators to help other other digital workers to say, by the hey, here we are. This is how the treatment we got from the work, and then how about we make it better. How about we push the agenda and help other people to how, when they come or when they be recruited, to know that, by the way, when I come, I'll be landing on a safe space where I know for sure I have people behind my back who can help me, who can speak for me, who can also support my idea on, and also, why not, correct me or rather challenge me how I can do this job better. Because again, we wouldn't want to, or we don't want the union to look as if we are fighting against the owners of the platform. it has to look like as something conversational, something that we have to deal with together, to come up together and make something that would benefit both sides. Because there's no way that side is making a living, while on my side I'm making a living, and also at the same time I'm losing something. So in short, I would summarize into that. But again, someone once said, if you walk a lot, you want to go far, walk with others. So anyway, for the sake also of our body and mental health, also for our physical body, and also for the future generation.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Koffi. That was beautiful. Nathan, if you can hear, Koffi did a beautiful job of finishing up. I think what's so great about what you're all building together is, as you said, it is an advocacy body. You're fighting for your rights very much, and deservedly so. But you've built a community of practice. You've reestablished that community of practice and support that you had whilst working in that environment, and you're reaffirming it now and inviting others into that as well, which is so, so powerful. And I cannot tell you how much I admire you. There are no words. We do have to finish up now. I could talk to you all day. I'm sure everybody could, but I want to give you a break. It's been a heavy conversation, but a really important conversation. Bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much. This won't be the end of our conversation, as you know, but thank you so, so much for contributing to this conference and sharing your stories. Everyone here is blown away.